We didn't see quite as many hands as we thought we would who were here as part of the previous general plan process. For those of you that were, this is going to be a little bit of a recap, a little redundant. I'll try and be quick. As Mr. Vela indicated, there was a major general plan amendment approved for the property in 2017. There were really three things that were accomplished as part of that amendment. I'm going to quickly go through those. The first being that a master plan community land use designation was applied to the property shown in orange, north of Tangerine. And I'll quickly, in one of my slides, describe what exactly that means. The second was that we extended the general plan planning area boundary to include that property. What does that mean? So that is a planning boundary that essentially indicates those properties that are identified for growth in the future that the town wants and has an interest in being in the conversation regarding how those properties develop. So we extended that planning boundary because regardless, this property will get developed in the future, whether that's as part of the town of Marana, in Pima County, or Oro Valley. We wanted to be part of that conversation. And so having that property in our planning area boundary gives us a seat at the proverbial table, if you will. As Mr. Vela indicated, there were 2 neighborhood meetings. Through that process, we had a number of primary issues come up that were very common. We heard during all of the meetings as well as the public hearings after those meetings. So I'll quickly go through those. And those primary issues essentially led to the culmination of 4 special area policies which were included as part of that amendment and were essentially conditions of approval that will apply to that amendment, as Mr. Vela indicated. So as I stated, the first change, if you will, was that a master plan community designation was applied to the property. Well, what is master plan community? You can see by the cropped out language from the code on the left side of the screen. It's essentially a holding designation, if you will, where it's an area that includes a range and mix of uses that are intended to be designed comprehensively and cohesively together so that you have a unified design theme. Things work together. Circulation networks work together. Recreation areas, riparian areas, things of that nature work together. So that's what the master plan community designation allows for some future customized zoning as part of the next step in the process, which is where we are tonight. And as I said, a number of special area policies were established as part of that amendment. That's really the vehicle that master plan community designations use to make sure that cohesive theme is developed as part of any subsequent rezoning. So just quickly go through some of the issues that came out of that process. Sorry, I need a third hand. First off was overall density of the site. What impacts are the proposed density patterns going to have on existing homes in the area? Of course, as many of you know who live in the area, the property has a number of environmental constraints on it, a lot of washes, a lot of mature vegetation. So a key focus was environmental conservation. Buffers to existing development. What were those going to look like? What kind of open spaces were going to be provided between the new development and the existing homes in the area? Similarly, what type of impacts were there going to be to view sheds and view corridors across the property and from homes that are in the subdivision, the Tangerine Meadows, Crossings, there you go, in that subdivision. So that was a key focus. Of course, many in the area were concerned about traffic. What kind of impacts on the local traffic network were these proposed increases in density going to have? We are aware that there are a number of existing drainage issues in the area, specifically on the southern portion of the property along Camino del Norte. So we know that that is an ongoing issue, and so the question was, how is that going to be addressed? And then lastly, we all live in the desert, so obviously water is a very vital focus of staff's review. And the question was, what kind of water capacity or water availability is there with regard to this type of application? So not that these were the entirety of all the issues that came up, but these were kind of the common 7 issues that came up at all of the meetings. And so like I said, those really culminated in 4 special area policies that were applied to the property. So this this rezoning or any form of this rezoning is going to have to demonstrate conformance with those special area policies. And so just briefly, those policies included master planning both properties together, both the portion north of Tangerine Road as well as the portion south of Tangerine Road. Again, impacts to neighbors, specifically again, buffers, views, traffic, how were those things going to be handled as part of the rezoning application. As I stated, there's a number of environmental characteristics on the property, so requiring the property to be mapped in accordance with our town's environmentally sensitive lands ordinance in that project. And then lastly, what the plans were regarding infrastructure and making sure that future infrastructure improvements were designed in conformance with the town's drainage criteria manual, as well as our subdivision streets manual. So those are essentially the four broad special area policies that we heard. I did want to just touch base on water capacity. Again, that's a very forefront question for folks. Our water utility director is here somewhere back there, so he'll be able to answer some questions if anybody should have any. But just to quickly summarize, the town, or the utility rather, does have a complete portfolio, if you will, of water sources, including groundwater, CAP water, Central Arizona Project water, and reclaimed water. And we do have sufficient capacity to serve not only the town to build out, but an additional 4,000 homes beyond that number. So we do, at this point, have sufficient capacity to handle an annexation of this thing.